Arkansas has a long history of military installations dating back before it was even a territory of the United States. For almost 5 centuries, the land which is now Arkansas has had a continuous military presence. Past and current military installations include Arkansas Post, Fort Smith, Little Rock Arsenal, also known as Little Rock Barracks, Fort Roots, Camp Pike, later known as Camp Robinson, Fort Chaffee, Blytheville Air Force Base, later known as Eaker Air Force Base, Pine Bluff Arsenal, and Little Rock Air Force Base. Arkansas Post was the first European settlement in the lower Mississippi River Valley in present-day Arkansas. It was established by Henri de Tonty as a French trading post on the banks of the lower Arkansas River. The French and the Spanish traded with native Quapaw Indians for years, and the post was of strategic value to the French, Spanish, and later United States. It was designated as the first capital of the Arkansas Territory in 1819. After the French and Indian War, Spain gained possession of Arkansas Post and surrounding territory. The post became the site of an American Revolutionary War skirmish in 1783 when British partisan James Colbert led a raid against the Spanish fort. Spanish soldiers, aided by Quapaw warriors, were able to drive off the attackers. During the Civil War, Confederate forces built Fort Hindman to guard the Arkansas River. On the 9th of January, 1863, at the Battle of Arkansas Post, 33,000 Union soldiers defeated the 3,000 Confederate defenders. Today, Arkansas Post Memorial is part of the National Park Service. The first Fort Smith was established in 1817 as a military post. Named for General Thomas Smith, the post was occupied from 1817 until 1824. A small settlement grew around the fort. In 1824, the Army moved the post to Fort Gibson. In 1838, the old post of Fort Smith was reestablished and expanded as a base for Indian removal. The fort was also utilized during the U.S. War with Mexico. During the Civil War, Confederate forces took control in April of 1861. Union troops recaptured Fort Smith in September of 1863, and it would remain part of the Union Army until the end of the war. The military ceased operations at the fort in 1871. From 1875 to 1896, a former barracks building was used by U.S. District Judge Isaac C. Parker as the federal courthouse and jail. Today, Fort Smith National Historic Site interprets the military and judicial history of the site. The Arsenal Building, built in 1840, is the last remaining structure of a military post that was established in 1840 at Little Rock, Arkansas. The Little Rock Arsenal, later known as the Little Rock Barracks, served as an Army post for over 50 years. During the Civil War, the Arsenal was occupied by Confederate forces from 1861 to 1863. In September of 1863, Union forces led by General Frederick Steele entered Little Rock and resumed control of the arsenal. After the Civil War, the Army post grew to 32 buildings and 400 soldiers. The post also changed its name to Little Rock Barracks. The Arsenal building was converted to quarters for married officers. In 1879, Captain Arthur MacArthur and his family arrived at the post. A few months later, his third son, Douglas, would be born upstairs in the former Arsenal building. In 1892, the federal government turned over the Little Rock Barracks to the city of Little Rock in exchange for land across the river to build a new Army post, Fort Roots. Today, the site's history is preserved and interpreted by the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas Military History as part of the City of Little Rock's Parks and Recreation Department. Fort Roots, named after Congressman Logan H. Roots, was established in 1892. It was built on a bluff overlooking the Arkansas River in what is now North Little Rock. It functioned as an Army post until the start of World War I. Deemed too small to train soldiers preparing to fight overseas, the Army moved military operations to the newly constructed Camp Pike, also in North Little Rock. Congress transferred Fort Roots to the Public Health Service Department for conversion to a Veterans Hospital. It was later transferred to the Department of Veteran Affairs. Today, the main hospital building, known as the Eugene J. Tobin Healthcare Center, provides care for eligible veterans. Fort Roots is also home to the Law Enforcement Training Center, which trains police and security officers for the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and United States Air Force. In response to World War I, Camp Pike was established when Fort Roots was deactivated. The camp in North Little Rock was named for soldier and explorer Zebulon Pike and trained soldiers during the Great War. Between World War I and World War II, Camp Pike was the headquarters of the Arkansas National Guard. During the 1930s, the Civilian Conservation Corps was stationed at the camp. In 1937, Camp Pike was renamed Camp Robinson for the late Arkansas Senator Joseph T. Robinson. During World War II, Camp Robinson served as a major training center and would also house almost 4,000 German prisoners of war. Today, Camp Robinson serves as Arkansas National Guard's Joint Forces Headquarters. It is also home to the Arkansas National Guard Museum. Established in 1941 near Fort Smith, Camp Chaffee, later renamed Fort Chaffee in 1956, was named after Major General Chaffee. During World War II, it was used for training soldiers and as a prisoner of war camp. After World War II, Fort Chaffee was used as a Cold War training base and refugee camp. The base was closed following the 1995 Base Realignment and Closure Commission report. The fort was then transferred to the Arkansas Army National Guard, becoming Chaffee Joint Maneuver Training Center. Today, Fort Chaffee serves as one of 12 National Guard training support centers. Established in 1941 as a U.S. Army installation, the Pine Bluff Arsenal, located in Jefferson County, manufactured incendiary bombs and later chemical warfare weapons, such as lethal gases and chemical compounds for artillery shells and bombs during World War II. After World War II, the arsenal continued to manufacture chemical weapons and stockpile them. In November 2010, the obsolete weapons were safely eliminated by the U.S. Army Chemical Materials Agency. Today, the arsenal designs, manufactures, and refurbishes smoke, riot control, and incendiary munitions, as well as chemical and biological defense operation items. It serves as a technology center for illuminating and infrared munitions, and is also the only place in the Northern Hemisphere where white phosphorus munitions are filled. In 1942, Blytheville Army Airfield was established near the city of Blytheville. Army pilots trained at the base during World War II. In 1948, the base was transferred to the United States Air Force and became Blytheville Air Force Base. In 1988, the base changed its name to Eaker Air Force Base in honor of General Ira Clarence Eaker. The Air Force Base was part of the Strategic Air Command and Tactical Command. The base closed in 1992, and the facility is now operated as the Arkansas International Airport. Little Rock Air Force Base opened in January of 1955 near the town of Jacksonville, northeast of Little Rock. Over the years, several major commands were assigned to the base, including Strategic Air Command, Tactical Air Command, Military Airlift Command, Air Mobility Command, and Air Combat Command. Today, the base is the primary training base for the C-130 Hercules, known as the C-130 Center of Excellence. The base trains pilots, navigators, flight engineers, and loadmasters from all branches of the U.S. military. It is the home of the C-130H and the C-130J aircraft.